Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. I am your host, Cole Clementich, back for another great show for you guys tonight. As always, the series, we have a great partnership with MSU Athletics, us, the Minot State Broadcasting Department. They give us a couple guests to interview from the athletic ventures, and we get to have a chance to talk with them all about their journey in and out of the classroom and wherever they compete at. And as always, a great time each and every Monday night. Just want to remind you guys that Papa John's is the sponsor of the Inside the Dam podcast. And don't forget, they have an MSU special. You can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99, but you have to show a valid MSU ID when you go there. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. On the show tonight, we're going to be talking with a women's golfer and a couple of the baseball players, as both teams just got done competing this past weekend. So should be a good time overall here. But without further ado, folks, kicking us off here, our first guest is a junior from Saskatchewan on the women's golf team. Holly Knudsen joins us. Holly, thank you for being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Holly. So kind of talk a little bit about your start to the spring season. I know there's also a fall season as well, but, talk about how you're feeling at this time and kind of getting rid of maybe some of the off-season jitters at all. Just kind of discuss, how are things been going lately for you at the start of the season?
They've been going pretty good. Lately, I've been feeling really good about my swing, and things have been going well, and I've definitely picked it up since the beginning of our spring season. Phoenix was kind of a slow start for me. It wasn't my best, so it's nice to be feeling my best now.
And you mentioned Phoenix a little bit, so, the spring season kind of starts, a little bit earlier than usual. I mean, there's still snow on the ground. Obviously, the snow's gone, thankfully. We're dealing with some nice weather, but the snow's gone, but the snow was still here when you guys had just gotten started. And so you guys get to travel kind of down south a little bit, kind of get to travel in places like Arizona, kind of southwest portion of the states, kind of discuss those trips a little bit and how those usually go. Talk the day in the life of the golfer traveling in the country.
We go to Phoenix so we can get like a start on the season when there's still snow on the ground. So it's nice to just get away from the snow and get to play on some grass and see where our game is at after having such a rough winter and just hitting in the bubble all the time. So yeah, it's really good to just play outside and get that nice weather. And yeah, it's a lot of time practicing, obviously. Every day we'll be at the golf course, whether we're playing in a tournament or if we're just range, short game, that kind of thing, yeah.
No, that's good. And so this is now your third season with the team. Again, just got done competing last weekend, scored a career low 76, but still a top 5 finish. I mean, to be able to do that, talk about this last meet of yours and how are you feeling going in and afterwards?
Yeah, going in, I felt pretty confident. My swing was good, so I felt good. And then we knew we were going to have some rough weather the second day, so we were just kind of, no one was really expecting a lot because with the wind and the rain and the snow and cold weather, we were just kind of get through the day on our second day. So I played fine the first day, but then the second day I was just really focused on just getting through it, getting through the weather. Our coach told us in the van before, he was like, just go have fun because the weather's going to suck. So it was just more about just getting through it. And then I started playing and I just kept getting pars and got a birdie in there, and it just kept me going the whole time, and I was just focused all on my game. And yeah, it worked out really well. So.
No, that's very good, most certainly there. And, golf's kind of one of those sports where, it's an individual base, but also kind of a team sport. I know for the Olympics, there's a lot of team affiliation, but, at other levels, there's, even I just got done watching the Masters the other day, and, there's a lot of individualist efforts that go into that. But just kind of talk about, what's the interactions like with your teammates, and, how does that go about, on a daily, day-to-day basis for you guys?
Yeah, it's kind of weird with golf because, yeah, it's an individual sport, but also we play as a team score. So You take like usually 5 to the tournament, and then top 4 scores will count as your team score. So everybody's like rooting for everybody to do good. Like you don't want anybody to do bad. You want everybody to do their best all the time. So it's just really trying to keep your teammates positive and just, making sure that everybody supports everybody. So
That's good, and especially, having a healthy team chemistry, a team bond, that's one thing for sure. But, talking about, this is sort of a final tune-up before NSIC championship in Missouri at the end of this month. How do you guys sort of prepare for what's to come next, and just kind of staying active, and just talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, this last tournament obviously helps us prepare, and we'll get there and we'll do a practice round, and we'll like hit the range, short game and stuff, and everybody's feeling pretty good, and we're just practicing every day, Monday through Friday, and got our workouts a couple days a week, so we're just gonna make sure that we're doing a good job there before we leave next Wednesday. So yeah.
Nice. A little bit good to know there on the agenda. Let's talk away from the field and, kind of, discuss your life in the classroom. Talk about your major a little bit and what are some things that you kind of see with that on a day-to-day basis, and if you use some of that to some of your athletic endeavors.
Yeah, well, I have 2 majors. My first one's finance, and then my second one's accounting. So it's a lot of numbers every day. And yeah, right now I have obviously finance classes and just like gen eds really. So I'm just getting through those, and everything seems to be going good. It's just a lot of numbers every single day, so it keeps me busy.
And you're writing up scores too, I would assume, right?
Yeah.
Or probably coaches would be doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's a lot of pretty interesting, get to work in the numbers like that, and just kind of talk a little bit about campus life. Like, do you attend when you're in town, obviously, do you attend some of the MSU Life events? Do you have a favorite? Is there any sort of what activities do you like to do on campus?
On campus, I don't do as much as I probably should, but I know bingo's a big one. We always enjoy doing that. Me and some of my teammates will go to that, and it's a lot of fun. And there was Slamabama that was really fun at the beginning of the year, and yeah, those are all nice.
Yeah, that's always a fun time there at the Old Main Lawn, and of course, I had heard about it. I actually did not get the chance to see it, but I heard it was a good time for a lot of people down there, and just kind of extend a little bit on your, expectations in the classroom and even when competing. How do you feel going into, again, this NSIC championship, and what do you hope to accomplish for the rest of the school year?
Yeah, well, I'm always trying to do my best, whether it's golf or academics, I try and keep my GPA high. I like getting A's, but I think everybody does. So, and with golf, I just want to keep the momentum going from this last tournament and just make sure that I'm keeping my head in the right space and just putting my best foot forward.
Absolutely. And a big question for you here, where do you want to take your respective college degree, and, where do you kind of see yourself, a couple years down the line?
Oh, that's such a hard question. I've really struggled figuring out what I want to do, like for career-wise and stuff. I know I definitely want to do accounting and finance, obviously, but I haven't really pinpointed my exact career path. I'm definitely thinking accounting to start off with, and then just see where it goes from there.
No, that's totally fine. Yeah, there's a lot of time and decision making that goes into stuff like that, and it like I said, takes a little bit of time here and there, and you never know, plans could change or whatever. But before we let you go here, is there anything else you want to mention on the podcast here, and any schedule updates that the fans may want to know about?
Yeah, well, our guys team actually leaves on Wednesday, and they're going to compete at their conference this weekend, I believe. And then, we leave next Wednesday. We'll fly to Missouri, and then we play practice round Thursday, and then we play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then we'll be back Monday, so.
Rigorous schedule.
Yep.
Yeah, good luck on your guys' games here or matches coming up here. And Holly, that's all the time we have for this segment. Thank you for being on the podcast tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you just heard it here first, folks. Holly Knudsen Jr. from Saskatchewan on the women's golf team, discussing a little bit about her story and also the upcoming matchups in the NSIC Championship in Missouri for the teams. And we just want to remind you guys before we kick it off to a break that Papa John's is the sponsor of the Inside the Dam podcast, And you can also get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. As always, we want to thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. They always have the goods and great food, as always. We're going to kick it to a quick break. When we come back here, folks, we're going to be kicking off the baseball segment of the show. More details when we come back. You are watching the Inside the Dam podcast. This is episode 17. Alrighty, and welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. Again, this is episode number 17 of the series. Great partnership with MSU Athletics as they provide guests to talk to on a weekly basis. Each and every Monday night at 7:30, we get set up here in the podcast room and we talk about their experiences in and out of the classroom and whatever athletic endeavors that each student athlete goes through. Again, I'm your host, Cole Clementich. We are back for segment 2 of the show. Before we get started with our second guest, Papa John's is the sponsor of the Inside the Dam podcast. And right now they're offering an MSU special. You can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show, and you must show, a valid MSU ID. You can get yourself a sweet deal from Papa John's. We thank Admir and the crew over there for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. And like I said last time, we're going to get started with the baseball segment of the show. So 2 more guests. And the first one is a left-handed pitcher from Nova Scotia. He's a senior. Garrett Nicholson joins us. Garrett, thank you for being here tonight.
Glad I could be here.
Yeah, thank you, Garrett. So you actually got to pitch a little bit this past weekend, set of games against the Northern State Wolves. Finally, your guys' first games at Corbett Field this season. I mean, it's been a long wait. I think about 30 games you guys had to play on the road. Talk about that feeling of being back at home finally.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great feeling, especially, we start the season. I think every road trip that we had was 10 plus hours. We battled a lot of adversity there and just found a way to make it happen. Our first home game was supposed to be, I think it was March 25th. It's supposed to be home at against Mankato. But obviously with the weather not cooperating, kind of made things a little difficult. But, to be able to home this weekend, I think we brought the energy that we wanted, and we had a great turnout with the fan base and made it for a really fun weekend.
You just said it there. I thought the fans turned out really well that series, especially I guess both games taking place on Saturday and Sunday, but there's a great fan turnout, and just to finally be able to be back at Corbett Field, but also kind of sleeping in your guys' own beds, being at home. Obviously, Minot being your guys' home away from home for most of you guys. Just talk about that feeling and kind of being able to spend time in Minot, be able to catch up on some schoolwork, practice back in the bubble. Kind of touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty refreshing, being on the road every week. It's kind of tough on the body. Some guys aren't used to it. Some guys come from schools where they don't really have road trips as kind of the ones that we experience. So just being able to be at home, like you said, like being able to sleep in your own bed and wake up and kind of get back into your normal routines when you're back here in Minot. It was a really good feeling. I enjoyed it, being able to, get back to work for a little bit and just kind of get back into the groove with school and meeting with professors and all those types of things. It was a really good feeling, and I think the guys are really happy with it.
Awesome. That's really good to hear, and to be able to kind of have a little bit satisfaction in the background there. And like I mentioned earlier, you pitched a little bit this past weekend. Talk about your start to your season, you're on a personal level, and talk a little bit about how the team's been doing as well.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm happy with and content with how things have turned out to be. You know, my biggest focus this year was to just be a consistent arm and just to be a guy that, you know, the coaches can rely on, and you know what you're going to get out of them every weekend. And I think up to this point, I've done a really good job with that. Wouldn't say anything too flashy, just knowing what I need to do as a pitcher to produce every weekend, and just kind of be one of those go-to guys. And, you know, from a team standpoint, I think there's not too much not to be happy about. You know, kind of like this weekend. We set the home run record, the all-time home run record, which was, I think, is a really great achievement for us.
That is insane, yeah.
And, you know, I think the biggest thing is we just worry about what we can control. If we don't let the game get too big, don't let it get too small. You know, you look at that, the second game of the series when we're down 7-1 and we come back and we win 18-8. You know, we've been in that spot before. We've come back from some big leads. So it's just really knowing what we can do as a team and just being able to produce and not let the game get too big or let it speed up on us, and just know what we can do.
Yeah, and I was talking with some of the guys while I was covering that second game of the doubleheader. You guys were actually down 7-1, and then all of a sudden, just madness. Like, talk about, you know, how resilient you guys were, and, you know, how you're able to build off of that, really.
Yeah, and you know, I would say the biggest thing is, like I said, we've been in that spot before, and we just try to worry about the things that we can control, and when things aren't really going our way like that, just understanding just knowing what we can do as a team, and just taking it, you know, inning by inning, pitch by pitch, just really focusing on what we need to do in order to produce for the, you know, the next guy. And I would say this weekend it really worked out in our favor.
That's very good to hear, certainly, Garrett, but you being one of the pitchers and having a new coaching staff coming in. Well, I guess you guys still have Coach Wickham there, but a new head coach at the helm, Sam Boisner. You know, was there maybe, I know I mentioned Tanner's still there, Coach Tanner, but was there a little bit of regaining trust that you had to get with the new coach, or was that just kind of, you know, easier process, you know, just kind of having to watch a little bit of film here and there? You know, what was that process like, and how have you guys adapt to the new coach?
Yeah, and I mean, in any situation where you have a new coach coming in, you know, more specifically a head coach like that, there's definitely a lot of questions and maybe some uncertainty on what to expect. But, you know, I think the guys have done a really good job of just letting him bring his knowledge and his experience to the team, and just allowing him to lead us in the right direction, and just be able to create an environment that we can all, you know, we all enjoy. And one thing that I think we've done a really good job of is just having fun and not letting the game get too big. And that's something that he's really instilled. You know, even in a game like this weekend when you're down 6 runs, you know, he brings us all together and he just lets us know, like, it's okay. We just got to do our thing. We go out there and just worry about the things that we can control. And, you know, when you do that, good things will happen.
Before we get into the classroom life for you, I just want to talk a little bit about the dugout. So you guys have a fun little routine that you guys have going. So like taking the caps off during a full count, and also kind of all the screaming and shouting, you know, in a good way from the dugout when game's in action. Who's the funniest on the team, and, you know, how did these come up to be, like these tradition team aspects that you guys from the dugout?
Yeah, I mean, I think why not say baseball has always been a rowdy team. You know, I think we're kind of known for our energy and just being able to pick each other up. You know, in terms of characters on our team, you have guys like Griffin Sharon, Derek Kay, Matt Malone, who you'll get to talk to here in a little bit. You know, but we got lots of different, lots of different, not characters. Personalities, yeah, there we go. Mm-hmm. Just different personalities, and guys just come from different backgrounds, and it just makes it really enjoyable to be at the field.
No, that's very good to have, you know, great teammates like that. And, you know, it's fun watching you guys just, even when, you know, game's not happening, or like not in the middle of play, like you guys are, you know, always talking, always communicating. And a lot of funny stuff coming out of the dugout. So it's really cool. Creates a positive environment there. But like I said, let's talk a little bit about your classroom life. Talk your major, and also maybe a little bit on what you see in day-to-day life, I guess, on campus.
Yeah. So, I would say I'm definitely one of the older guys on the team. This is my 6th year of college.
Oh, so you're 6th-year senior.
I'm a 6th-year senior. Yeah, I had a redshirt year, and then with COVID happening, I gained back 2 years of eligibility. So I'm actually about to complete my 2nd master's program, which is
it's one of those
kind of crazy to think about. Actually, so my undergrad was corporate fitness and wellness management.
Oh, nice.
And so when I got into grad school, I started with the sports management, and I had a conversation with my advisor, Dr. Cressup, and she told me I had the opportunity to add on the business management degree as well. So I figured, why not? It makes it for a better opportunity for me, kind of opens a couple more doors as I graduate here in May. So I ran with it, and I've been loving it ever since.
That is really good stuff there, Garrett. And, to have the advantage or the opportunity, given to you, why not? So, yeah, that's a lot of good stuff there. And, with that, with your master's degree coming up here soon, where do you hope to take it? And quite frankly, where do you kind of see yourself in a couple of years? Maybe a little bit more baseball, or is it going to be more on the workforce type deal?
Yeah, I mean, I like to keep the baseball dream alive. I just want to be able to give myself the opportunity to know that I tried and at least put the effort into, you never know what can happen. So you just really trying to keep that dream alive and just see what can happen after this spring. Obviously, if that doesn't work out for me, I'm actually a graduate assistant with the marketing department in athletics. And ever since I took that job, I've really gained a love for sports marketing and just everything that it entails. And so that's something I've looked into a lot recently. Whether I go that route or not, I'm not too sure. But right now, that's really kind of where I stand.
That's really cool. I actually kind of like that. I love the sports marketing and all the stuff that the GAs do out there. I kind of see them every day on a day-to-day basis. And, they do a lot of great work. I'm sure you as well. And we wish you all the best in your future endeavors. Again, you being the 6th-year senior, one of the 6-year seniors on the team. Is there anything else you'd like to mention before we sign off here on this segment?
No, I don't think there's too much else. I just thank you for having me on. I appreciate the conversation. And, we'll be looking forward to seeing you again.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Garrett. And I'm sure our Professor Neil Roberts would appreciate that hat, as he is a Twins fan. So, he'll be liking that for sure. But, Garrett, thank you for being on today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Yeah, and folks, you just heard left-handed pitcher Garrett Nicholson from Nova Scotia. He's the 6-year senior on the MSU baseball team. Kind of summarizing his story and a little bit more about the team and what have you. So, want to remind you guys again, we're going to kick it to a quick break, but before we get to that, Papa John's has an MSU special. You can get a large 2-topping pizza, for a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. We thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with our second baseball guest and final guest of the night here on episode 17 of the Inside the Dam podcast. We will be right back. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Inside the Dam podcast. As always, it is brought to you by Papa John's, and they have an MSU special. Right now, you can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. Again, great food and great pizza. As always, from Admir and the Papa John's crew, thank you guys for sponsoring the Inside the Dam podcast. And without further ado, we're here with our third and final guest of the night, continuing on in the baseball side of things here, the senior catcher and designated hitter from New York, Matt Malone, joins us. Matt, thank you for joining us on the podcast tonight. How you doing?
Good, man. Appreciate it for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Matt. So, yeah, just kind of discuss. We were talking with Garrett earlier. You guys are finally back home at Corbett Field after 30 some odd games. Just talk about that feeling of being back home. And I know he mentioned getting back into that routine. So I'll ask you the same thing, getting back into Minot and kind of the regular day-to-day stuff now.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, game days, we all got our little routines, so we kind of got to switch it up a little bit. And now we're home. We don't have to take bus trips, and we can wake up and cook for ourselves and not eat waffles for,
Nice.
every day straight. So it's good to be able to be home and set your own routines and be able to do what you want. So that's nice.
That is very good indeed. And talking about this last home series against the Northern State Wolves, Garrett had mentioned it. You guys broke the single season home run record. I know I talked to you earlier in one of the post game interviews, but talk about what does that mean for you guys as a whole, and to be able to do it with a whole bunch of games left.
It's awesome. I mean, I think a lot of pop came out of a lot of guys that weren't expected, and going into the year, we lost a lot of guys from last year, so I think a lot of guys stepped up and kind of did their job. And you take good IVs and you swing at the pitch that you want, that you're looking for. I mean, good things happen.
That is very well said there. And so now you talk about your start a little bit, third season with the Beavers, and, just kind of talk about, again, your start a little bit, how you've been feeling lately. And, you actually contributed one of those home runs this past weekend and, contributed to all 3 wins, a clean sweep over the Wolves. So talk about your start personally and as a team overall.
I think personally, it's been a little eventful. I can't go behind the dish, tore my UCL, so now it's just kind of being a designated hitter. So I've never had to do that my entire life. So that was a big switch up mentally, trying to figure out how to keep myself occupied and pacing around the dugout and stuff like that. So had to lock in there a little bit. But as a team, I mean, we started off hot and you're going to lose games. Happens. But I think we're kind of figuring it out. It's good to be home. I think the boys are rested now and kind of calmed down almost. I think the bus trips kind of take it out of you for a long time. So we're calmed down, we're ready to go. And we get to show up to our home ballpark and see faces that we know. I mean, I got everyone on the team's got friends, family that show up. So that's good. That's good for the mental for guys playing, and good for them taking at bats because they can just kind of see a face to calm them down.
Yeah, and you guys are about 10 games over 500. I know the number's higher, but yeah, at least 10 games above 500. So a lot going on there, a lot of success so far. And, just kind of talk about, we discussed with Garrett, having to adapt with a new head coach. I know Coach Wickham is still there. How have you approached him? How has he been able to kind of impact you guys this season?
Boise's awesome. I mean, for me, I came from another school where my head coach is a good friend of mine. Like, we just kind of got on a friendship basis where it's like I felt comfortable, talking to him about anything. And I think Boise has that similar feel for me. So that was awesome for me to kind of walk into that. And I think for the boys, he's a good players coach. And I think everyone kind of shows up and wants to do it for him. I think especially we played his own team this weekend. So I think everyone kind of knew what was there and kind of just wanted to put it to him just to show, like, hey, you can be a head coach,
Absolutely. And, that's kind of a little revenge factor there for him. So it's got to be a good feeling. But also, kind of talking a little bit, more on that success. Like I said, over 10 games above 500. That's a very impressive mark for you guys to have, especially with the new coach around. And, you mentioned, having to adjust from the catcher spot to you're now designated hitting for the team. How have you faced that torn UCL head on, and what challenges have you faced? You kind of touched on it already, but what other challenges have you faced, and how have you been able to kind of persevere and overcome, and now starting as a DH?
I think starting as a DH definitely helped. I got to still be in the game. I didn't have to sit on the sidelines and just watch. But yeah, it was a whole different approach. I mean, I got to go to rehab every day. And sometimes I can't even throw a baseball. Like, there's days it hurts, and I just kind of got to go out there, and I know my job. My job is to hit and get on base and be what I can be for the team and produce. And so I think you just kind of lock in there and find things to take your mind off of it outside of baseball. For me, that's huge. I mean, whether it's fishing, reading, something, just to keep my mind off of baseball. And everyone's going to have a bad game, and what is it? What's the quote? It's success doesn't lead to happiness. Happiness leads to success. So you got to find a way to stay happy and stay humble and ready to go every day.
No, those are some wise words that I think is a very well said thought that people can live by. Well said statement there. But yeah, kind of discussed your start a little bit. So you're fifth on the team with a 347 batting average. You have 5 home runs now. I mean, yeah, that's in 17 RBIs. You know, that's definitely something. Yeah, you've been able to, you know, knock it out of the park with overcoming that injury. So yeah, props to you on that. And you know, just kind of talk a little bit about this upcoming series against St. Cloud State, and you know, what are you guys expecting a little bit, and how do you guys go into what's the mindset going into, you know, the kind of the first home series during the week?
You just gotta take it pitch by pitch. I think, especially as a hitter standpoint, like, you know, there's gonna be pitches you're gonna miss. There's gonna be bad swings, and it is what it is. Like, you just gotta keep powering through, and as long as everyone like passes the torch, that's a big metaphor that everyone has. As long as you pass the torch and you play for the guy next to you and play for everyone that's there, it leads to success, and I think everyone will build off that.
Awesome. Well, now we're going to go away from the field here for a bit, as we've been doing the show for the whole show here. So kind of talk a little bit about your major and, you know, some of the things you see on a day-to-day life. Are you able to, apply some of your studies to the field or to the game of baseball? And yeah, just kind of touch on that a little bit.
I'm a business management marketing major. So, I mean, I guess so in a way. Especially when I was catching, I was able to kind of bring it out there. I mean, every umpire that comes to the field knows who I am, and we sit there and have a conversation. Guys, I made one of my best friends he's from Crookston, and I played him my first year here, and I still talk to him to this day. He's in Texas, and he's done with baseball. I still talk to him. So I think that's kind of where that major applies, is being able to talk to people and go out and kind of remind everybody that the game that we play is a game of fun, and it's a children's game, and you can make friends. It's not always got to be, you know, hating everybody.
No, yeah, it's definitely a good way to look at it. You know, appreciate, you know, some people around you, and talk about maybe some of the activities that when you're in town in Minot, you know, do you guys like to, you know, hang out for a bit? What are some things that you do on campus? Like, I know Holly had mentioned earlier, bingo is usually a big one that students love to attend. Any other events, or is it just bingo? What events that you guys like to enjoy?
Yeah, guys will do the events sponsored, like the bingo and stuff like that. I mean, a couple of us will go play pool, and then a lot of us just kind of do outside stuff. Like me and my roommates, we go fishing. We do just a bunch of stuff around town. It's a small town. I'm not used to that, so you kind of got to make your own fun. So I think having guys with small town experience kind of helps with that, and the school doing the bingo and stuff like that. You know, we'll go to that and have a good time there.
Yeah, small town experience in the Magic City, you know, definitely makes for some good connections there. And, you know, with your major, and where do you hope to, when you get your degree, where do you hope to take that in the future, or where do you kind of see yourself down the line a couple years? Is that sort of set up yet? Have you been thinking, or is that maybe too far down the line? But just kind of discuss a little bit on where you might see yourself.
Yeah, originally the plan was kind of play pro ball, but now it's kind of up in the air. So I got a job lined up back home, doing sales and stuff for a company that one of my buddies works for. So I'll be working with him and working with some of my best friends. So that'll be good. And being out, I'm not sitting in an office. I don't think I can. I'm kind of, if you see, I'm just all over the place. So yeah, something just not in an office. Don't care what it is. Just don't want to be in an office. Something competitive, something that can bring, you know, the competitive side out of me. That keeps me entertained.
Yeah, so you want to move around a lot.
Yeah.
Good stuff there, Matt. And yeah, we're almost out of time here, but anything else you want to mention here on the podcast?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't think about that part. No, you got any more questions for me?
No, that's that's anything you wanted to bring up that you maybe had in mind that I didn't touch on. But you guys play St. Cloud State on Wednesday, correct? Yep, doubleheader. And yeah, so be sure to check them out at Corbett Field. I believe start time's 1:30, I'm going to guess. So something like that. It's in the afternoon. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I do believe it's 1:30. I'll make sure to check myself on that. And Yeah, I would assume so. Yeah, it's in the afternoon. So, but Matt, thank you as always for being on the show today, sharing your story and experience. So
Appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much. And folks, once again, that concludes the baseball side of the Inside the Dam podcast. You just heard Matt Malone, the second baseball interviewee and the third and final guest here on the show. Again, this has been episode 17. And before we sign off, we just want to let you guys know about Papa John's and what they have to offer. You've heard it all night. You can get a large 2-topping pizza for $7.99 if you show a valid MSU ID. That is their MSU special. And so we thank Admir and the Papa John's crew for supporting the Inside the Dam podcast, always with great food and great pizza all the time. That is going to do it for episode 17 of the Inside the Dam podcast. We want to thank Holly, Garrett, and Matt for joining us tonight. Holly from the women's golf team and Garrett and Matt being from the MSU baseball squad. And we will be back next week for you guys for another 3 awesome guests, student athletes from the MSU athletic department. As always, this is a production of KMSU TV and Radio and, of course, with the MSU athletic department. With that, I'm Cole Clementich signing off. You guys have a good rest of your night and take care, as always.